There are hundreds of people here. Everywhere you look, just see groups of people waiting, just sitting with backpacks.
This was me, nearly 20 years ago, on one of my first international assignments.
María, que no creo. Qué bueno. Todo ese viaje trae
Todo esto.
solo eso.
Sí.
I was doing a story about migrants trying to make their way across Mexico and into the United States. The starting point for that journey was Tapachula, a chaotic little town on Mexico's southern border where migrants hopped on board La Bestia. La Bestia, or the Beast, is what migrants called the dangerous freight trains they rode north for days on end.
The train keeps on jerking, so you have to keep a constant grip on the train. It's hard.
Back then, all you needed to reach the border was courage. These days, I'm told you need a whole lot more.
Wow, this is so crazy. This looks nothing like it used to. This was the main train station, so you'd have hundreds of migrants here every single day, basically just hoping to get on the train to go north. The train tracks are no longer here, but the migrants are still keep coming. They have to come through this area.
Tapachula is still the first stop in Mexico for thousands of migrants. But the path north to the US is now controlled by a violent, criminal underworld. There's a new beast in town. That's why I've come back. To try to get inside the most profitable migrant smuggling machine the world has ever seen.
Casi estás obligado a participar, o no te puedes escapar. Tenemos que ir siempre bien, pueden matarte. No hay persona que no se vaya sin que nos liquide lo que es el pago. Todo el mundo nos ha pagado.
So this is the central square, Tapachula. The vast majority of the people that line up that are around here at the square are migrants. They all have backpacks, they have bags. So many, it's crazy. Álvaro, ¿y ustedes son todos venezolanos?
Sí.
¿Y están haciendo camino juntos, todos?
Sí.
¿Y las personas duermen? ¿Ustedes duermen aquí?
Todo eso se llena.
¿Cuánto tiempo que están acá?
20 y algo de
20 días.
hoy.
Entonces, ¿qué están haciendo ahorita acá? ¿Por qué no se van de camino? ¿Qué están esperando?
Que no hay
Que hay mucha restricción.
No se dejan caminar. Porque tienes que pagar también para pasar.
Que pagamos, la migración y nos vuelve a tirar aquí.
El tipo, ¿quién está haciendo dinero con el negocio de los migrantes?
Tú no sabes quién es todo el
Si no tienes dinero, no puedes hacer nada.
Years ago, migrants like these would hop right on the train and continue north. But free rides are apparently no longer an option.
Los que se quedan acá son los que no tienen.
But what happens to the migrants who do have money? What exactly are they buying into? That's what I want to understand. Which is why I'm heading to meet a man I'm told is one of the key players in this new people smuggling pipeline.
I've been hearing about this guy for over a year now. There were a lot of times where we thought we were going to finally meet him, a lot of false starts. Never happened until hopefully today. This is a big boss in this sort of operation. Let's hope everything goes according to plan. I think we're here. Let me know if you guys see anyone. Yeah, okay, I see him. I think that's him, yeah. Hola. ¿Cómo está? Si me puedes describir lo que haces ahorita, de cómo podrías llamar lo que haces tú.
Tengo contacto directo con las gentes que ocupan hacer lo que es la travesía desde su país hasta Estados Unidos para lograr su sueño americano. Empiezo a contactar, empiezo a darles precio, les empiezo a decir cómo es la travesía, se les dice tal y cual es, sin mentira. Las travesías son un poquito incómodas, pero mi transporte es el más seguro que existe.
We're calling him Jose, but his nickname on the street is King Coyote. Coyote being slang for a migrant smuggler. He works mostly with migrants from South and Central America, but has clients from as far away as India.
¿Y te contactan como?
Llamada y WhatsApp. Llegamos a un acuerdo, fechas, recibo las personas.
¿Cuánto por migrante cuánto cobras?
Desde que sale de su país hasta su destino final son $12,000.
$12,000.
$12,000.
¿Pero las personas tienen?
Sí. La persona que pide el servicio, porque vendió gran parte de su casa, cositas, sus poderes que tuvo él aquí, en su país de origen, se deshace de ellos para pagar lo que es el pago mío.
¿Te pagan todo inmediatamente o cómo hace el pago?
Se paga el 50% al inicio y sí, el 50% al término de mi trabajo.
¿Y cómo te hacen los pagos?
Y entre el departamento de cobranzas.
¿Verdad?
Sí.
I've been reporting on the underworld for nearly 2 decades. This is the first time a black market operator has referred me to their finance department.
¿Cuántos migrantes pasas tú por semana o por mes?
Por semana es promedio mías de unas 100, 150 mías.
100 a 150. ¿Puedo hacer una matemática muy rápida?
Claro.
Entonces, si son, imagina, 120 veces $12,000, $1,500,000 por semana.
Sí.
Por semana.
Por semana. El 70% es para pagos, 25% es mío.
Entonces, tú te quedas como $400,000 por semana.
Un promedio.
Es como una empresa, es como una industria.
Exactamente.
I was certain that no one is making that kind of money smuggling anything in Mexico without what you might call permission.
José, ¿tú perteneces a un cártel o...?
No, yo soy independiente, pero estoy bien con todos los cárteles que pasan. Y el cártel él nomás quiere que tú pases y haces tu comisión y síguele.
Entonces no es como, no es que el Sinaloa, Jalisco, no es que ellos propios tienen negocio, ellos reciben dinero.
Ellos reciben por pasar por sus terrenos. Pero si no pagamos no podemos avanzar.
¿Cuántos grupos piensas que pagas para todo el camino?
Alrededor de unos 6, 8 grupos.
Wow.
Para haber organizado todo eso puede estar y el migrante lo está pagando, pero hay más control. Gracias a los cárteles hay más control. Y las guerras que existen pues son internas entre ellos mismos, no nos afectan a nada lo que es a nosotros.
From the cartel's perspective, I understand the logic of this new system. By allowing these transport companies to exist, it professionalized the business of people smuggling, making it more efficient and more lucrative.
Cuando se habla con migrantes en Estados Unidos, se escuchan historias horribles de las cosas que le hacen los coyotes. La violencia física, de...
Violación. Robos, extorsiones, tortura, muerte. El migrante pasa de todo. El migrante sí hay compañías que no los cuidan, que no tienen el cuidado adecuado. Los miran como materia prima, no los miran como algo humano.
Pero tú no lo haces así.
No. Y todo lo que es mi compañía traen el mismo sistema. Gente buena, gente tranquila, donde es gente buena y les damos calidad. Por eso creo que tenemos el éxito que tenemos.
I have my doubts about the rosy picture he's painting of his operation, but I'm eager to learn more, and he agrees to connect me with one of his smugglers, a man responsible for transporting migrants from Tapachula north towards Mexico City.
We're heading to meet this contact, and he's been incredibly nervous to talk to us, and he's very suspicious still. So we just, for all of our sake, just, make him feel as comfortable as possible. I see him over there, so just put the cameras down for a second, and then we can pick back up when he's inside the car. Camera down.
Sure enough, he doesn't want to talk. I have to practically beg him to get into the car. But he finally does. I'm eager to hear what it's like on the front lines of the people smuggling business.
¿Siempre derecho?
Derecho.
No hay problema si pasamos porque hay un lugar de policías o militares.
Pero podemos bajar de este lado, rumbo al panteón.
Sí.
Ya podemos salir para que no haya ningún policía.
This man, who we'll call Ernesto, is part of a new breed of transport company making millions shuttling migrants across Mexico and into the U.S.
¿Y cuántas personas, cuántos migrantes se transportan?
Lo que llevamos son de 50 personas. ¿Dónde los recojo?
Sí.
Yo lo tengo.
Pero ya del lado de México.
Sí, sí.
From there, he drives them north towards Mexico City.
¿Y cuánto tiempo de camino se mete?
De 24 a 26 horas.
En un
camión grande. Es un camión de carga. Es un camión de carga porque pasamos en ranchos, pues ahí solamente pasan los camiones grandes como... Hacen camiones, yo los llevo paraditos.
¿Cómo así? ¿Van parados?
Van parados, sí.
Wow, ¿por 24 horas?
Sí.
It's a bit shocking. His boss, King Coyote, told me they charge 12 grand per person, which seems like a lot for such inhumane treatment.
¿Qué les dices?
Me preguntan cómo lo hago el viaje y todo. Yo lo digo la verdad. Van parados, a veces encontramos agua, a veces no hay agua, a veces encontramos comida, a veces aguantamos hambre. Y la gente va todo entendido, ya van sabedores la gente. Y lo que hace la gente, pues no dice nada porque va uno entendido.
Like his boss, he's quick to justify their approach.
Tienen en la mente es nada más a robar a la gente. Porque los inmigrantes ya ves que traen sus dineritos, lo que hacen los demás, roban ese dinero.
Ernesto, ¿tú haces buen dinero con eso?
No mucho, porque como le digo, pues yo no me aprovecho de la gente. Yo no ando robando. Para mí no es porque me dan un dinero.
I'm doubtful about that. But I don't press him because I want to keep him talking.
¿Y si te para la policía o los militares, qué haces tú?
Y adelante, pues la guía, lo que hace la guía, ¿sabes qué? No hay nada, vénganse, échenle, todo libre. Y cuando hay algo, pues nos avisa. ¿Sabes qué? Hay un retén, lo que hacemos nosotros es tirarlo a la gente antes. Lo botamos así lo botamos en el monte, okay. Lo dejamos 2-3 horas. Cuando se levanten, se quita el retén, volvemos a regresar y ahí lleva de nuevo la gente.
Qué interesante. Entonces él va siempre adelante.
Adelante.
Cuando llegas ahí, en lugar de que los dejas, hay una otra persona que los lleva.
Sí, bueno. Sí, ya se encarga otra persona.
¿Has tenido alguna vez alguien que ha desistido, que ha dicho, no, es muy difícil para mí, quiero volver atrás?
¿Sí? Hay unos que han regresado. Que tampoco, como le digo, tampoco le obligo a la gente, pues vienen con sus decisiones, van a seguir o no. Pero en parte más peligroso lo que es. Sí.
¿Por qué?
Y es necesario de pagar para que no pase uno con ningún problema.
¿Y eso generalmente son personas del cártel o...?
Muchos dicen que son de los cárteles, pero la verdad no sé.
No es bueno hablar sobre los cárteles, ¿verdad? No es bueno.
No es bueno.
This description of the cartel's involvement sounds more threatening than King Coyote's version. I want to hear more, but I think talk of the cartels has spooked him. He cuts our interview short, after less than 20 minutes. Okay, so we just dropped off Ernesto. The interesting thing that we weren't able to film is that his wife was actually in the back seat in between the two cameras. Apparently they discussed, and the only way that he'd feel comfortable talking to us was if she was present as well. So that was interesting. These are the trucks that he says they actually transport people in. That's exactly it. You know, it's really hard with these interviews that we were trying to make him comfortable, but it's always sort of a balance of how much you push
And pushing too much will mean we'll lose access. So we're hoping that we can ask more questions and see more of the operation in the following days.
But more access to King Coyote's operation never arrives. So we're stuck chasing access to other people smugglers, some with a very different pitch to migrants.
We're heading to meet a guy sort of involved in the migrant trade. There's a boat apparently waiting for us to take us to him. Yeah, they just told us to, have our eyes wide open, ears wide open in this area because there is a lot of cartel presence here. Okay, I see there's a boat coming this way. He's coming right towards us. Yeah, so our guy is a guy wearing a mask, and there's a bunch of people in the boat. Hola, buenas! A little awkward, he's not saying anything.
From the looks of things, we're wading right into the middle of his business.
¿Podemos acercarnos un poco? ¿Qué?
I'm in southern Mexico, talking to a smuggler who's asked us to call him Pantera.
Y Pantera, ¿lo haces hace cuánto tiempo ese trabajo?
Tengo aproximadamente 5 años.
¿Siempre lanchas o otros modos?
No, lanchas.
¿Por qué utilizan las lanchas?
Porque es la ruta más rápida y evita uno más los puntos de chequeo.
¿Y viajas en la noche todo?
Toda la noche y parte de la mañana. Porque de noche procuramos pasar las partes más peligrosas.
¿Y cuando dices que es riesgoso por las autoridades o por los grupos?
Por las autoridades y por otros grupos. A veces hay asaltantes así en las partes adelante. Pues tenemos que ir siempre bien.
Despite the cartels being paid off, these boats must run a gauntlet of armed opportunists.
¿Qué quieren los asaltantes?
Nos roban las máquinas. Les quitan el dinero a ellos.
¿Y a ti?
Pues a mí me echan al agua.
¿Verdad? ¿Sí lo hacen?
Sí, los pueden matar también.
¿Está enfermo? Pobrecito, ¿qué tiene?
Sí, pero muchacho, porque el movimiento del agua.
¿Te vas a ayudar o qué haces?
Pues cuando traemos le damos alguna pastilla, algún medicamento así para un alivio, al menos en el tramo de lo que llegan de aquí para allá.
Muy bien. ¿Y tú cómo te llamas?
Me llamo Carmen.
Carmen. ¿Eres hondureña, Carmen? Sí. Marido y mujer. ¿Y tienen hijos?
Sí.
¿Se quedaron ella? ¿Cuántos años tienen?
Una tiene 8 y la otra tiene 13.
13. Yo tengo un niño de 12. ¿El niño o niña?
Las dos son niñas.
Las dos niñas. Muy bien. ¿Y por qué estás haciendo el viaje?
Pues para un mejor futuro para ellas.
¿Tienes una foto de tus hijas?
Sí, tengo que ver. Chiquita es mi sobrina.
La más chiquita es tu sobrina. Qué bonitas que son.
Gracias.
¿Cómo está la situación en Honduras?
Allá está terrible. Allá el dinero no vale nada. No se puede comprar nada, pues. O sea, lo que uno gana solo se puede decir que es para el día a día.
Costoso hacer el viaje, ¿no?
Sí.
¿Cuánto imaginas que vas a pagar en total?
Pues entre los dos son $20,000. $10,000
por los dos. Wow, ¿cómo conseguiste tanto dinero?
Pues la verdad vendimos todo lo que teníamos, las tierras, los capitales, todo. Y vamos para arriba. Con la ayuda de Dios vamos a llegar con bien.
Her entire life savings spent on a gamble that this little boat will make it to its destination.
Entonces, ¿el viaje ahorita cuánto tiempo va a ser de lancha?
Como 10 horas o 11 horas.
¿Dónde llegan de lancha?
Información que no se le puede revelar, pero le podría decir que más o menos entre Oaxaca y Guerrero.
Just like those who travel by road, the boat will take these migrants north before they're shuttled to Mexico City. From there, they're stuffed, like any other product, into 18-wheelers for a drive to the U.S. border that could take up to 2 days. It's a leg of the journey that has become synonymous with tragedy.
They have found 50 migrants dead inside a truck in San Antonio, what they now believe to be one of the deadliest smuggling incidents in U.S. history.
These migrants sell everything they own for the chance to make it to the U.S. And this is how they're treated along the way.
¿A ti te gustaría también ir a los Estados Unidos?
Sí, pero no tenemos, ¿cómo es? Los precios son muy caros. No tenemos esas cantidades.
Entonces, interesante, entonces ellos tienen más dinero para ir que tú. Entonces,
Sí.
en tu caso tú no tienes familia.
O no así alguien que me diga, te voy a dar 15,000, 10,000 dólares.
¿Y tú, entonces, cómo tu patrón no te puede dar un descuento? No. El precio del precio.
Sí.
¿El patrón vive aquí en la región o no?
No, de hecho no tengo yo conocimiento, no sé ni dónde vive. Nunca lo he visto, no da la cara.
Y pertenece al...
Solo manda a alguien a dar órdenes, a dirigir y nosotros obedecemos. Nos tenemos que ir porque el tiempo.
Okay, they're saying they have to go because the sun is going down. They have to start their journey. Muy bien, gracias, Pantera. Que les vaya bien a todos.
What's becoming clear is that the people doing the actual work of smuggling migrants, people like Pantera and the transporter I met in the car, know the details of their job, but not much more. It's only bosses like King Coyote that are familiar with the actual terms of this ugly business.
Y entonces cuando va a pasar por los territorios de los cárteles, ¿tú pagas por persona?
Pago por persona que pasa.
¿Cuánto más o menos?
500 por cada uno.
Para cada cártel, cada grupo.
Para cada grupo. De los cárteles me dicen, deposíteme esta cuenta, señor. Y yo deposito. Yo tengo ahí respeto con ellos.
Thinking back to our conversation, what's still unclear is this. Even if companies like King Coyotes have learned how to work with the cartels, how could they possibly move thousands of migrants past so many police?
Es un mundo de dinero que vamos dejando ahí para poder avanzar.
Trabajas con todos.
Trabajo a la vez con todos.
So this guy we're meeting is very nervous. He was supposed to meet him at a train station. He's moved locations on us a few times already, and it's understandable why he's nervous. He's essentially a whistleblower who's going to be talking to us about corruption within the government. Miguel, ¿verdad? Si te
Miguel.
¿Cuál es tu trabajo? Sí.
Soy agente federal de migración. Participo en operativos y actividades diversas de campo.
¿Y qué ves en el diario? ¿Qué tipo de cosas ves tú?
La corrupción que existe dentro de las mismas filas del instituto y las corporaciones también que participan en ese tema de la migración en México.
Funcionarios públicos.
Todos están involucrados, todos tratan de sacar ventaja de los migrantes.
Todos.
Todos. Ahí participan agentes de migración, participa Guardia Nacional, los mismos policías municipales, hasta agentes de tránsito que también están ahí, participan.
¿Y eso tú lo has visto hacer?
Sí.
Las personas que trabajan contigo, entonces.
Sí, cercanos.
I'm talking to a federal immigration agent turned whistleblower, who we'll call Miguel. He says it works like this. On every route north, there are dozens of checkpoints. Migrants who've hired a cartel-approved company, like King Coyotes, are able to pass through without getting hassled. That's part of what their $12,000 ensures.
Los que pagaron, pues ya rápido llega alguna persona, se identifica y da alguna clave. Que eso ya quiere decir que ya está pagado el brinco.
¿Una clave como un password?
Sí, dan una clave que pertenece al pollero. Y un alias que pertenece al agente o al funcionario que haya hecho la negociación.
On the other hand, migrants attempting to make the journey on their own, like the Venezuelan family I met in Tapachula, are forced to pay small bribes at every checkpoint along the way.
Ahí, les digo, les piden una cantidad específica. Únicamente a los que no pagaron, eso sí, los bajan y los regresan.
It's a system designed to maximize the exploitation of desperate people, while simultaneously enriching both the cartels and corrupt government officials.
La mayoría sí reciben.
Nosotros hablamos con un pollero, pero no nos sabía que también está pagando a las personas, a la migración, a los policiales.
Sadly, this sort of collusion between the cartels and the Mexican state isn't new.
Caught on tape, Mexican police apparently carrying out orders for gangsters.
It's been a problem in Mexico for decades now. So much so that just this year, Mexico's former head of public security was found guilty of drug trafficking. This is the type of power that the cartels wield throughout the country.
Unos compañeros rescataron a unos migrantes y fueron interceptados por los polleros. Los criminales de nueva cuenta se le aparecieron frente al vehículo oficial y en medio de la ciudad, con una patrulla de la policía en la esquina, estos criminales se desenfundaban las armas, y los compañeros estaban bien asustados y la policía simplemente no hacía nada.
¿Por qué piensas que estaban con miedo o porque estaban pagados?
Están pagados. Están pagados.
Prácticamente como si que perdieran kilos de cocaína, perdieran esa inversión en los migrantes, el dinero que van a recibir en el final cuando...
O sea, que a ellos les quiten a los migrantes es una pérdida fuerte para ellos. Pues ellos van a defender su negocio. Y es ahí donde viene ya también, le decía, la participación de las mismas autoridades.
Una pregunta más complicada, pero ¿tú también has recibido dinero de ellos?
Sí, a veces no es mucho, pero sí.
¿Qué piensas de eso? Porque estás también involucrado entonces en la corrupción.
O no te puedes escapar. Casi estás obligado a participar. Porque si no, ya vienen las represalias. Entonces, para evitar problemas, pues termina uno accediendo.
¿Por qué estás hablando con nosotros?
Lo que yo siempre he dicho, porque el instituto donde yo estoy, si es la autoridad que se encarga de regular la migración, y si un migrante no califica para obtener su estancia en México, ¿por qué no se regresa? ¿Por qué no lo deportan? ¿Por qué tenerlo aquí, viviendo en la calle, sin trabajo, sin tener que comer y sin llevarle comida a sus hijos, a su familia?
¿Y por qué piensas que no se deportan?
Me imagino que es el mismo negocio. Es para presionar a los mismos migrantes a que pidan dinero por donde sea, con familiares, con amigos, y que paguen.
The immigration officer's accusations hang in the air as I head towards the border. The stories the Venezuelans told me suddenly make much more sense.
Tengo que pagar o nos agarran migración y nos vuelve a tirar aquí, porque ellos quieren que estemos aquí. No debería de ser así porque todos somos seres humanos. ¿Entiendes? Sí, nadie nos mandó a venir para acá.
No se imaginan la situación.
Pero ¿por qué no tienen frenado acá? Somos un negocio. ¿Qué somos?
I've kept in touch with the Venezuelans. And the last I've heard, they were able to slip past the authorities and hitch a ride north on one of the trains. Riding La Bestia is apparently still an option, but much less common, which makes sense considering all the vested interests in the new system.
¿Te gusta tu trabajo?
Me encanta.
¿Por qué?
Me encanta. La economía es buena, vivo bien, vivo muy bien, pero no, llevo un estilo muy tranquilo. Porque no pierdes, porque no vas a perder. O sea, es un negociazo, es el mejor negocio.
After almost 2 weeks on the road, I finally arrive at Mexico's northern border. It's the last leg of the journey, and we've gained access to yet another transport company, run by a rival of King Coyote's, a man who calls himself Zorro.
So we got a call from Zorro. Apparently, there's a group of a few migrants that have just arrived. They're going to cross to the U.S. soon, and he's given us this address for the stash house where the migrants are staying before they cross the border. Aquí es? Okay, around the corner. So it's around the corner from here. Okay. Walkie-talkies and cameras down. Yeah.
Let's do it quickly.
So get out? Okay, so they're saying right now. Perdón. Hola, buenas noches. ¿Cómo están? ¿Todo bien? Hola, buenas. Soy Mariana. Hola. Hola. ¿Cómo estás?
Bien.
Gracias por dejarnos entrar acá. ¿Me puede explicar dónde estamos? ¿Qué se pasa acá?
Pues aquí es una casa donde pues se aguarda a veces el trabajo, casa de seguridad. Aquí tenemos a veces a la gente que vamos a cruzar para allá, para Estados Unidos.
Imposible no ver que están personas armadas acá. ¿Por qué?
Estamos esperando que nos den el permiso para que, ahora sí, para que ellos se puedan ir.
¿Permiso de quién?
Bueno, aquí se pagó un permiso de la mafia, pues, para poder, mandarlos a ellos. Y si no se paga ese permiso, pues no podemos trabajar.
We're witnessing one of the last hurdles for migrants on this side of the border. The final payment before crossing, which is split between the transport company and the cartel.
Solamente me hace falta de uno, que se tiene que pagar todavía, pero pues ahorita lo que voy a hablar ahí con su familia para que se muevan rápido a depositar, porque si no, no se va a poder ir.
¿Y qué se va a hacer entonces con él si no se va a ir?
Tiene que pagar porque, él ya está aquí.
¿Te molesta si hablo con él?
No,
¿Puedo
sí.
hacer unas preguntas?
Bueno, sí.
¿Puedo hacerte unas preguntas?
Perdón.
Soy Mariana.
Okay.
Ángel, ¿cómo estás? ¿Y tú eres de dónde, Ángel?
Morelia, Michoacán.
¿Cómo está la situación en Michoacán?
Pues está feo ir para allá y pues bueno, trabajo, no hay mucho trabajo y pues el poco trabajo que hay lo pagan muy mal. La verdad que pues gana muy poco y pues voy para acá, tengo una hermana allá que me está apoyando.
¿Pagaste alguna cosa hasta ahora?
La verdad no sé cuánto, no sé, la que va a pagar este día.
¿Y ustedes son los más jóvenes acá, ya?
Sí.
¿Puedo preguntar cuántos años tienen?
Tengo 21 años.
Tienes 21 años.
Sí.
¿Y tú?
16.
16 años, ¿verdad? Wow. ¿Ustedes son de dónde?
Aquí en Sonora.
Ah, en Sonora, de aquí, de Sonora. ¿Y por qué se van? ¿Por qué quieren ir a los Estados Unidos?
Porque mi papá nos dejó muy niños allí en Navojoa y queremos ir para allá con él.
¿Cuánto tiempo hace que está allá?
Él tiene como 7 años.
¿Y dónde está?
Está en Chicago.
Cuando cruzas la frontera, ¿cómo vas a Chicago? Si es lejos, muy lejos de la frontera.
Sí, lo que nos han dicho es que hay un levantón y ahí nos llevan para allá. Un levantón es como... No podemos tocar.
¿No quieres que hable sobre eso?
No, por favor.
Ok, muy bien. He says he's going to make a phone call to his family because he's the only one who hasn't paid yet, and he wants to ask them when the money is coming in. ¿Está bien?
Bueno, disculpe, estoy marcando para hablar sobre su familiar Ángel.
Ah, sí, oiga, disculpe, lo que pasa es que no me había podido comunicar porque acabo de salir de trabajar y estoy buscando gente que me ayude a depositar. una disculpa, sí le voy a pagar, pero es que pues acabo de salir de trabajar.
Bueno, es lo que yo, para eso lo que le estoy marcando, es que se necesita para pagar aquí es lo del muchacho, porque si no, no se va a poder ir. Y entonces ya, ahora sí que ahí ya no va a ser mi problema, pues. Y ya es mucho tiempo, pues, que usted también me está quedando mal.
No, es una disculpa, sí le vamos a pagar, nomás que pues yo no puedo sola, ya sabe cómo la vida es acá.
Pues entonces le voy a dar hasta el día de mañana nada más para que me resuelva ese detalle, ¿ok?
No, yo ya quiero que mi hermano esté acá, yo creo que está con la familia.
Bueno, pues entonces ahí le encargo eso, por favor.
The subtext of that last bit was chilling, but also easy to miss. I want my brother here. We want him here, with family. In other words, please don't hurt him.
Es difícil escuchar eso, ¿eh? Para mí.
Lo siento, pero sí es.
Sí. Entonces, todo es el negocio, el dinero que se hace al fin de día.
Así es. Como todo mundo, ¿no?
Y generalmente lo haces esas llamadas con ellos, con los familiares, con él escuchando. ¿Es así que es o cómo?
Es que sí, porque, o sea, para que no haya malas interpretaciones, ¿me entiendes? O sea, para que ellos sepan lo que, o sea, para que ellos escuchen lo que yo les estoy diciendo, ¿entiendes?
Pero tú imaginas la situación de ella también.
Pues la hermana que está
desesperada, intentando encontrar un modo de...
Pero es que también a mí también me están presionando por lo de él. O sea, no solamente a ella, sino a mí también me están presionando. ¿Por qué? Porque si yo no pago lo de él, o sea, piensan que me la quiero aventar. O sea, que no quiero mandarlo sin pagar lo de él. Y así no es la cosa, porque yo sí me meto en problemas.
Entonces, si mañana tú no recibes, ella no te envía el dinero, ¿qué se va a pasar?
Pues allá ahora sí que pues, ya va a ser cuestión de él.
I'm in a stash house in northern Mexico, not far from the border, where migrants are held captive until their payment is delivered.
¿Era la voz de tu hermana? ¿Eh?
Sí.
¿Tú hablaste con ella cuándo?
Ayer.
¿Y qué te dije? ¿Qué te ha dicho ella?
Sí va a pagar, pero pues sí va a pagar, de que va a pagar, va a pagar. Pero pues como ella no tiene ahorita cómo mandarlo porque está esperando personas.
¿De cuánto cuánto dinero estamos hablando?
Sí, son, o sea, lo de $3,000.
$3,000, es mucho, ¿no?
Sí, pues.
¿Qué hace tu hermana?
En el campo.
En el campo.
Entonces.
¿Y qué se va a hacer entonces con él si no se va a ir?
Te tiene que esperar, pues. Y si no, pues, o sea, pues a ver qué es lo que se va a tener que hacer, porque...
We depart. According to King Coyote, these sorts of confrontations are common on both sides of the border.
¿Y cómo haces a saber seguro que te van a pagar cuando lleguen allá? Los 50% que faltan.
Ya hay problemas en cuestiones un poco rudas, se puede decir, para sacar ese dinero que nos cubran el pago que tienen que ser.
Cosas crudas, ¿qué significa eso?
Se le empieza a quitar la comida, primeramente, se le empieza a no dejarlo dormir, se le empieza pues otro tipo de... Ya el paso B o el C ya es un poquito de tortura para que él le diga a su familia, oye, pues me están pegando, me están haciendo esto, termina de pagar para yo poder irme contigo. Pocas veces se ha hecho, pero sí se ha hecho.
¿Y generalmente esa presión funciona?
Sí, no hay persona que no se vaya sin que nos liquide lo que es el pago. Todo el mundo nos ha pagado.
Despite the thinly veiled threats, I'm told that later that evening, Angel's sister came through with the money. He'll be crossing with the others in the coming days. The next morning, I meet up with Zorro again. He's transporting a different group across the border. Migrants who've already paid their part.
Super tight quarters here. We have a driver, Zorro, sitting next to me here too in the front row. And the 4 migrants are in the back of the truck. We're heading to the drop-off point. It's about a 20-minute drive
where everyone will get out of the car and the journey across the desert starts for them. It's gonna get dark soon, so we're trying to get there fast. ¿Van a cruzar dónde? ¿Puedo decir adiós? Pero... Ok, adiós. Qué buena suerte, ¿eh?
Igual.
Que te vaya bien.
Gracias.
The migrants slip through a rickety barbed wire fence and begin walking. But once they cross, they'll face another 1 to 3 days of hiking through the Sonoran Desert until they reach their pickup location. ¿Tú les das alguna cosa a los migrantes para el viaje?
Van unas personas encargadas de ellos, que llevan radios, que llevan celulares. Al migrante se le condiciona con agua, con sueros, ropa adecuada, zapatos adecuados. Eso es lo que se les tiene que preparar. Pero las condiciones del desierto son mucho frío, mucho calor. Allá son 3 pasos. Llegaste a tu destino, nos cogió migración, te quedas en el desierto.
¿Y el porcentaje de cada uno qué piensas?
50 que llegan, 45 que me coge migración y un 5% que se nos quedan ahí.
¿Que mueran?
Sí, que hay muerte, ahí hay muerte.
As to what happens to migrants on the other side of the border, you don't have to look too hard. Even TikTok provides clues. Black market transport companies post ads recruiting drivers. They're looking for Americans willing to shuttle migrants from the border into urban centers, where they can effectively disappear. Drivers make thousands of dollars per trip if they can make it past U.S. law enforcement.
What we're trying to do is position ourselves at choke points. Right here at Pearson 191, where we believe that they're going to have to come through us in order to get to their final destination.
We spent one night with the Cochise County, Arizona Sheriff's Department and witnessed the chaos firsthand.
It's going to run. We are northbound.
Driver, step out of the vehicle and face away from me.
Be advised, as soon as I activated my lights, the vehicle's not stopping.
Drivers, stick your hands out the window.
Put your hands behind your back. How many more do you got inside the car?
These arrests may seem like a win for law enforcement.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have them present.
But the reality is that each year, thousands of migrants get through, and the ones who don't will often try again. In a nutshell, that's why the people smuggling business is booming. Because for the world's most vulnerable people, the dream of living in America is only available on the black market. In case you're wondering, the Venezuelan migrants I spoke with crossed the border in May of 2023, after an 8-month journey through 7 countries. They surrendered to authorities in Texas and are currently living in the US and awaiting an asylum hearing, along with nearly 1.6 million others.
Toda a favela é um território dominado pelo tráfico, pela milícia. Não existe um território livre.
E a que a gente está indo agora é dominada por quem?
Eu prefiro não falar. Mas ao tráfico, se você traz problema para eles, ou você vai ser cobrado.
I've been investigating drug traffickers for over 15 years. Often, I'm a lone female journalist surrounded by masked criminals. 99% of whom are men.
It's starting to boil and the crystal is starting to form at the top.
But recently, I've heard tales of a new breed of narco-trafficker. Women. Rumor has it these brash cocaine queens are helping revolutionize the multi-billion-dollar drug business. And I'm on a mission to find them.
Mulher tem todos os espaços. Esse não é espaço diferente.
We'll call my driver Luis. He's a Rio native whose family has connections to the city's criminal underworld.
Mas você acha que as mulheres aqui, no tráfico em específico, trabalhar o dobro para ganhar o respeito que os homens têm, não?
Mas a mulher sempre é mais cobrada, né? A mulher sempre é vista como frágil. Pode você conquistar esse respeito, né?
The woman I'm searching for is definitely earning it. She calls herself Hello Kitty. Just 21 years old, she's one of the most wanted drug traffickers in all of Brazil. The prime suspect in multiple armed robberies and murder, and a rising cocaine distributor for one of the country's most powerful drug gangs. And my sources say she's holed up in Rio's favelas, the slums and shantytowns that house more than 1.5 million people, nearly a quarter of the city's population.
So we're entering the favela right now. I have to stop because there's these barriers that exist at the entrance. If anyone is trying to invade, it will slow down any invasion by the police or rival gangs. So this is the things that you have to do when you enter the favela. Turn on the lights. You see the hazard lights are on.
Stop.
Stop, okay. Down. Cameras down.
Senhor meu Deus e meu Pai, nós estamos aqui porque acreditamos no milagre. Porque a Tua palavra diz que Tu és socorro bem presente na hora da angústia, Senhor. Senhor, quebra os aguilhões. Senhor, e tira ela daqui. Porque a Tua, Senhor...
When Brazilians boast that God made the world in 6 days, and the 7th he devoted to Rio de Janeiro, they're not talking about the favelas. They're talking about this. But there's a flip side to these sugar-coated pictures. A kind of tale of two cities. Extreme poverty fuels Brazil's black markets. So much so that today, after the United States, Brazil is the world's largest cocaine consumer. I've lived in Rio and have spent time in many favelas, places where crack, weed, cocaine, and other illegal substances are sold out in the open. To safeguard the drug markets, these slums are protected by criminal gangs and their gatekeepers, people like this woman.
Era verde. E aí, o complexo aí, tá como? Tá de boa?
Boa, tranquilo, uma paz.
É isso, então, só focar mesmo, entendeu? Nos 4 rodas que sobe.
It's rare to see a woman in a row like this. But here I am, talking with this gang member in front of her kids. She tells me to call her perigosa, which means dangerous.
É isso.
O que elas falam sobre si, sobre o mundo do tráfico? Elas querem fazer parte do mundo do tráfico?
Não, eu nunca deixaria eles se envolverem com nada disso. Eles sabem que isso é errado, mas eu preciso fazer isso para elas poderem ter um calçado, ter uma roupa e ter uma comida no prato.
Perigosa's job is to oversee a 24-hour surveillance network comprised of 21 lookouts called radinhos, Portuguese for the little radios. They are the eyes and ears of the narco-traffickers. Favelas are like fiefdoms. Most are controlled by powerful gangs. Perigosa's people monitor all entries and exits, so they can alert the gang leadership of any invasion by rivals or cops. Despite her key position, Perigosa is judged by her neighbors.
Ali, a mulher tá com os filhos, tá ali com um rádio na cintura. Aí, ou seja, amanhã os filhos seguem o rumo da mãe.
Até eu, no meu trabalho, eu sinto isso às vezes, porque eu trabalho viajando pelo mundo. Eu tenho um filho em casa também, né? E sempre me perguntam, como é que você faz esse trabalho e deixa teu filho? Há sempre um julgamento do meu papel de mãe. Você acha que os homens, pais de crianças, são julgados da mesma maneira?
Não. Não são julgados. Até porque para homem eu acho que é tudo mais fácil.
Você já ouviu falar há uma, acho que é bem famosa, chamada Hello Kitty? Hello Kitty?
Já. Eu soube que ela ostentava bastante, né? Até porque ela tinha para isso, né? Olha, então, ou seja, né, o cargo que eu levo não é um cargo alto. Entendeu? Até porque eu não ando com arma. Porque uma arma eu não sei nem mexer em arma, para falar a verdade.
Perigosa tells me that the women who truly rise through the ranks are the ones who put down their walkie-talkie and pick up a gun. And if I want to find a cocaine queen like Hello Kitty, I need to get closer to the product. It's time to pound the pavement. Luisa's uncle was a founding member of the country's oldest drug gang, Comando Vermelho, the Red Command. The same gang Hello Kitty is set to work for.
I think it's here.
So that's where we start.
Oi, tudo bom? Posso entrar? Oi, sou a Mariana. Tudo bom? Você conhece uma traficante que se chama Hello Kitty?
Eu já ouvi falar, só não sei de qual favela que ela é, qual comunidade.
I shouldn't be surprised. Rio is a city of some 7 million people. And the Red Command has many factions. It's not easy finding one woman, even after the gang has opened their doors to me.
Há uns anos atrás, era imaginável, ninguém poderia imaginar uma mulher no tráfico. Hoje em dia tem menina que já é até dona de boca.
Há uma mulher que eu tenho ouvido falar muito, que é uma, que não sei se vocês já ouviram falar, que é a Hello Kitty.
Hello Kitty. Pode? Ela era rival.
Ah, era?
Essa competição.
E se eu estivesse procurando Hello Kitty, acha que eu consegui encontrar? Não?
Não sei se ele é do senhor, parece que tem objetivo.
Vocês fazem isso, esse trabalho vocês fazem todas as noites?
A hora que chamar, trabalhar e vou trabalhar.
Mas tem assim tanto consumo aqui no Rio?
Isso mais se consome. Mais do que feijão com arroz.
Por que você acha que se consome tanta cocaína no Rio?
Não tem outro ponto de fuga, eles fazem em cima de... Paga a mágoa em cima da cerveja e da cocaína.
I'll take the maestro's word for it. He's a 60-year-old career criminal who now cuts cocaine for Comando Vermelho, the Red Command. One of 3 trafficking organizations that controls all of the cocaine in Brazil. What I'm discovering is that over the past 2 decades, Brazil leveraged its location, bordering every coca-producing country, to become a global distributor. While Mexico's cartels move cocaine into the United States, Brazil's gangs are now the top suppliers to Europe and Africa. But a lot of this powder remains right here to satisfy the growing appetites of Rio's rich and poor. They have this little spoon, and they basically put the cocaine inside these little bags, and this sells for 5 reais, which is currently worth $1. And it's mostly sold in this neighborhood and neighborhoods around here. It's possible the cocaine I'm looking at will be sold by Hello Kitty herself. She works for the same gang as these guys. Qual é a reputação de Hello Kitty?
Ele é bonito.
Você estava na cadeia? So he was actually in prison recently, and he's saying that even in prison they talked about her a lot, that she was really good, she's a really good soldier.
Ela é braba. Ela pra dentro.
Maestro believes that today's women have a unique advantage: the element of surprise. Cops still assume that cocaine traffickers look like Pablo Escobar, not like Hello Kitty. He says that the police is really targeting the men here. So there's not going to be a lot of men around to do this kind of work, so it'll be up to the women to do it.
Vai custar pouco, mas vai chegar a época que vai ser a prisão nossa, vai ser de mulher. Quando eu tô arrumada, ninguém não dá nada por mim. Você vai imaginar que eu sou qualquer coisa. Você é garota de programa, pode pensar, mas nunca que é bandido.
This is not Hello Kitty. I'm still working my way up Comando Vermelho's chain of command. But she is proof that while women don't yet rule Rio's cocaine markets, there are far more female narcos than I ever imagined. Como é que é para você ser mulher trabalhando rodeada de homens?
Eles gostam nem de receber ordem, ainda mais por uma mulher. Até de eu dar uma porrada na cara de um aqui, sabia?
É
pra mim, querendo me intimidar dele, um soco na cara dele, na hora.
She calls herself Bayern, after her favorite soccer team. Just 25 years old, Bayern came up in the gang as cocaine was expanding its reach throughout Brazil. Now, she's a soldado, a narco soldier who provides security for the Red Command. I have to admit, I'm impressed. Like Hello Kitty, she's a woman who isn't just breaking the glass ceiling. She's literally shooting her way through it. Posso ver eu?
Pode.
Eu não vou fazer nada, só quero ver. Posso? Que tipo de arma é?
É uma Glock.
É uma Glock.
É. Pente grande pra você ter mais munição pra trocar tiro, né? Que quando você, às vezes, troca o pente, você tá perdendo tempo e o polícia tá chegando perto de você. Aqui é mais concentrado, remetente. Quando tu tá vendo o polícia parado ali, e tu só mira certeiro nele, entendeu? Inclusive, eu já tive uma troca de tiro que eu fui baleado aqui.
Wow, you see that? She's showing me the bullet hole. The bullet came through this side and came out of this side. These shootouts with law enforcement have become all too common. As cocaine exploded throughout the country, so did gang violence. Today, Rio's police response involves helicopter-borne snipers with shoot-to-kill orders. In 2019, the police here killed over 1,800 people. That's 5 people a day. Nearly twice the number killed by cops in the entire United States. Still, the traffickers I've met seem to take this violence in stride. Como é que seria a vida assim nas comunidades sem essa possibilidade de fazer dinheiro com a venda de drogas?
A miséria se vê nas favelas. O tráfico é a salvação.
Salvation. That depends on a person's point of view. And tonight, I'll have the chance to ask Hello Kitty herself. My Red Command contacts have finally come through. We're scheduled to meet her on her turf. Okay, from what we've heard, she's gonna be actually waiting for us in the inside of this favela, so we're driving deeper and deeper.
Por favor, em momento algum, levanta essa câmera.
So please, please, please do not put the cameras up, he's asking. When we arrive at the rendezvous point, Luis receives new intel from his underworld sources.
So not good news. Apparently we were told she was waiting for us, but then we got here and apparently she's gone. And we're being told that there is going to be a police operation here tomorrow. They found out through an informant they have at the police. And so when that happens and the word spreads, they go out and they start hiding everything. They hide the guns and the drugs, and that's what apparently has happened tonight. And that's where she's disappeared and no one can find her. Unfortunately, the trail goes cold. Dead cold. The police operation took place the following day, and we never re-engaged with Hello Kitty. Just a few weeks later, we received word that Hello Kitty and her father were killed in a gun battle with Rio's police. Yes, she was an unapologetic cocaine queen, but she was also 21 years old and the mother of 2 children. Cocaine has transformed Brazil's black market and its players. But in the end, I never got to meet the female narco boss I'm searching for. So I head to the source. The world's biggest cocaine producer. To locate a rumored narco queen, the cops and criminals are all trying to kill her. So you've been in touch with these people? I mean, they know that we're coming?
I'm in touch with these groups, but you have to be careful, Mariana. We are green-lighted by them, but I mean, at the end of the day, they are criminals.
The man riding shotgun is Oliver Schmid, a local photojournalist who once helped me gain access to the cocaine highway. The 3,000-mile journey smugglers take to move their product from the mountains of South America to Miami Beach. Now, we're trying to track down a female narco named Sonia, who's rumored to be the second in command of one of Colombia's newest criminal cartels, Los Caparros.
What do you guys know about her, this woman?
She's supposed to be the boss of the hitman in this area.
The boss of the assassin?
Yeah, which is like really astonishing.
Astonishing is an understatement. You see, for 5 decades, Colombia has been the world's biggest cocaine producer. This multi-billion-dollar black market was dominated by one man, the king of cocaine, Pablo Escobar. Throughout the 70s, 80s, and 90s, Escobar's Medellin cartel controlled every link in their global supply chain, from production to distribution. But when the kingpin was gunned down in 1993, his cartel crumbled. The cocaine business, however, did not. It simply evolved. Today, Colombia produces more powder than ever, but the big cartels have splintered into smaller rival gangs, which means more competition and violence. To fight back against the new generation of narcos, the Colombian government offers money to local farmers to burn their crops.
A lot of coca growers, they started to destroy their coca fields, but now the government is not fulfilling the agreement and they're being threatened to death by the drug dealers.
Rumor has it Sonia murdered one of these farmers and then ordered her men to leave his body on display for 10 days.
It feels very much like we're entering the heart of darkness here.
You're definitely right, Mariana.
Entonces la idea es llegar, pero llegar bien y hacer las cosas muy bien. Y no puedo correr ningún riesgo con la gente. ¿Sí me hago entender?
Sí, señor, sí.
The man holding the phone is Ivan Vasquez, a former Colombian Special Forces soldier and our security advisor for the region. The voice on the other end is our contact inside Sonia's gang.
Bueno, señor.
Entonces, ¿qué te dice? Que tenemos que esperar.
Que esperemos aquí, que no nos vamos de aquí.
The region we're in is called Bajo Cauca. In 2019, it had a murder rate on par with Tijuana, Mexico, the most violent city in the world. Just weeks ago, 8 teenage soccer players traveling through here were taken hostage.
Las madres claman porque a sus hijos se les respete la vida y se les permita regresar a sus hogares.
Exigimos la liberación de nuestros hijos. Aún son 7 los que quedan en cautiverio.
They got kidnapped by the same gang we are supposed to meet, by Los Caparos. 3 got freed. 1 they found dead already.
So they were kidnapped by the same people we are meeting?
Yeah.
And is there any guarantee that these people are meeting us and that they're not going to kidnap us?
Well, there's no guarantee. I mean, you are under the control of a criminal gang. There is a risk to get kidnapped.
Okay. And that's when our contact calls back, with a meeting point. Instead of finding Sonia, we're picked up along the way by a pair of her sicarios, professional hitmen, who order us to follow them. Though 50% of Bajo Cauca's residents live in poverty today, the Spanish conquistadors knew there was tremendous wealth to be found here, hidden underground. As we follow the sicarios into this mining operation, I assume this is where we'll find Sonia. Instead, we discover the men are taking us on a shakedown.
Ya sabe de dónde vengo, cómo trabajamos. El mes pasado ustedes no colaboraron. O me colabora o tumbamos esta y lo quemamos y paramos producción, listo. Cuéntele amigo que la plata es para contarla. ¿Cómo cuadramos lo del mes pasado? Hoy hablo con el patrón en horas de la tarde y pagan el puesto.
Sonia's sicarios want us to leave immediately, but I want to know more about what's happening here.
Que eso es normal, que vienen aquí.
Lava, siempre que se saca material de oro, lo hacen en cada una de las minas de la región.
Before I can ask more questions, my crew alerts me that the gunmen are on the phone with Sonia herself.
Sí, señora. Ya estamos llegando, señora.
It seems I've overstayed my welcome. While her gunmen lead us away from the mine,
Bueno, señor, gracias.
Ivan gets a concerning call from his local security sources. Over the past 24 hours, there have been multiple gunfights between local gangs, with 6 people confirmed killed.
So this area right now, he was saying, it was super, super hot.
It seems like every gang in Bajo Cauca wants a piece of the pie, and they're willing to kill for it.
En este momento estamos en la propia boca del lobo de ellos. Esto aquí lo tienen el control ellos.
¿Salgo?
Sí, señora.
Gonna check all the cars, make sure that there's no one else there or any guns. He's also getting all the guns from our security guys, disarming everybody. And no cell phones allowed in.
Once they take our cell phones, they order us to follow them. It's time to meet their leader, La Comandante, the commander.
You see, he just handed the money to him, and he's the only one who's able to approach her, the woman. He's about to give her the money. It's amazing, though. She's the one really giving the orders here, huh?
Yeah.
In my many years of investigating narco-traffickers, this is the first time I've encountered a woman who wields so much power over violent, well-armed men.
Okay.
Eventually, I'm permitted to approach Sonia.
Hola.
Entonces, ¿cuánto dinero es? Si te molesta, se te pregunta.
Acá deben de pero en el último mes.
Falta mucho más.
¿Y dónde está el resto?
Eso es lo que toca que averiguar con esta gente. Mando a mi gente para que vaya ya otra vez de nuevo. Si no tienen todo el dinero completo, tomamos esta máquinas y ya.
Well, okay, so she's not happy apparently because there's not enough money. It's not the money that she was promised. ¿Qué pasó? Oh, apparently there's like another group close by and they're getting scared. ¿Qué? ¿Un grupo? ¿Un otro grupo armado? Okay, guys, really, for reals. Now we have to go. Sí, un otro grupo.
Sonia's bodyguards rush her to safety while they prepare for an imminent attack.
Oh my God, the guy's got his gun. He just, you know, it's serious when they start freaking out.
My film crew and I are embedded with a gang of cocaine traffickers, and a rival cartel is closing in.
Sí. ¿Verdad?
Sí, señora.
Okay, the mine where we were just now filming, there was another rival group that came in armed, so that things are definitely not safe because this could be the next spot they target. Hopefully this is open. Yeah.
Están haciendo disparos atrás.
No,
Sí.
¿escuchaste?
Sí.
No.
Sí, señora.
¿Dónde estamos nosotros? He started hearing gunshots right where we came from.
Salgamos rápido de aquí que atrás hay disparos.
¿Piensas que están bien ellos?
Mariana, en estos momentos no se sabe nada por si ya entran en contacto y lógico que la tarde vamos a saber si hay muertos.
As we flee the gang's compound, I realize I know next to nothing about their female commander, a woman who every rival gang in Bajo Cauca seems to want dead. Narco-trafficking is a man's world, traditionally. Almost never do you see a woman occupy a position of power, like Sonia. While there have been a few confirmed gangster queens in recent history, often exaggerated by Hollywood, the women I typically interview are low-level drug mules. But maybe these changes in the black market shouldn't be so surprising. The fight for equality in the legal market has been happening for generations. I imagine something similar must be taking place inside organized crime. Still, how does a 21-year-old woman end up a cartel commander?
Quisiera como salirse. Entonces dice, ¿por qué soy metido en esta? Pero sale corrido a la marina, la policía, mi clan, con lo que estamos peleando ahora.
The morning after the attack, I discover Sonia's not just alive, she's willing to finally talk. Turns out, it was the Clan del Golfo that led the attack.
You can film.
They're Sonia's main rival, and the biggest drug traffickers in the region. with alleged links to Mexico's Sinaloa cartel.
Sé que no puedo ver tu cara, pero consigo ver que es muy joven. ¿Te puedo preguntar más o menos cuántos años tienes?
21.
21 años.
Sonia is young, but so is her group, Los Caparros. They're one of the newest gangs competing for Colombia's cocaine profits, supposedly created by former right-wing paramilitaries who abandoned politics and embraced crime.
¿Cuál es tu posición ahorita en el grupo?
Yo soy comandante del sector.
Eres, imagino, tal vez no, pero eres una de las únicas mujeres, imagino, con una posición...
Llegué donde estaba, la finura que le mostré a ellos y a los viejos, pues... Y aquí estoy.
¿Y no tenías un sueño de estar envolvida en el crimen?
Pues quería ser doctora.
¿Verdad? ¿Por qué?
Yo soy como muy amable con las personas por ese lado.
Sonia tells me that like most people in Bajo Cauca, she grew up in poverty. When she was 12, her father was murdered by a local paramilitary gang. Sonia went looking for revenge, but never found it. What she found instead was love. At 16 years old, she fell for the regional commander of Los Caparros, a man who had grown up poor, like her.
Todo empezó, pues me llamó mucho la atención la forma como prácticamente la gente le tenía miedo. Le limpiaba prácticamente, con la lengua le limpiaba las botas.
Against her mother's wishes, Sonia ran away, got pregnant, and gave birth to the commander's children.
Yo me imagino que partiste el corazón de tu mamá, ¿no?
Bastante. Sí, pero yo tengo mucho respeto ya.
¿Por quién?
Por todo.
Respect. It's something Sonia earned during her initiation, when the cartel kidnapped a disabled man and ordered her to kill him.
Está súper feo. Pues lo vi pidiendo piedad, diciéndome que por favor no lo matara. Y pues yo al igual no lo quería, pero él fue el que insistió, o sea, que si no lo mataba no entraba a la organización junto con él. Eso fue lo que me propuso, que le demostrara finura. Después, él me entregó un machete y me tocó que degollarlo. Él me entregó un machete y me tocó que degollarlo.
No, con el machete. No.
Y pues yo al igual no lo quería, pero él fue el que insistió.
Despite everything I've witnessed covering black markets, it's hard to stomach the details of Sonia's rise to power.
Le quitamos la cabeza y lo tiramos al río.
Entonces lo hiciste por amor.
Sí.
A part of me wants to view Sonia's story as an act of empowerment. But all I see is a woman who's been transformed, from a victim of Colombia's violence to one of its chief perpetrators.
Al final del día es todo para mantener el control del narcotráfico de la cocaína.
Claro que sí.
Cocaine. It remains Colombia's most enduring and profitable black market.
Oh my God.
And Sonia is going to show me how she maintains control of her gang's coca plantation.
We're essentially surrounded by coca fields and illegal gold mines. This is also sort of, you know, the birthplace of narco trafficking. Pablo Escobar, the Medellin cartel, the cocaine that was produced, it all came from these hills, from this area.
In fact, reports from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime suggest that 70% of all the coca planted in 2017 came from Colombia, from areas just like this.
Aquí no es una zona de tanto conflicto, aquí más está todo controlado por ustedes.
Sí, el perímetro lo tenemos totalmente asegurado.
Que están escondidos.
Sí.
Her hitmen inform me that there are snipers hidden throughout the hills. It's not long after that I finally see it. The crown jewel of Sonia's power.
Necesito terminar esto, pero hoy. A mí también me atacan.
Producing cocaine, surprisingly, isn't complicated. Coca leaves are picked by hand, then mulched together, then mixed with cement, gasoline, and other chemicals to produce a raw coca paste. In the past, most of this product was sent north, to the US. But more and more paste is now heading south, to the burgeoning Brazilian market I just came from. These local farmers are paid to feed this growing global demand, though they have little choice. There's a saying in this region: whoever does not sow has to go. 30 years ago, Pablo Escobar controlled all the coca grown around here. Today, Sonia helps manage some 30,000 acres. But Los Caparros are outnumbered and outgunned by rivals. They need fresh soldiers, and they need them fast.
¿De dónde vienen ellos?
Se entregan, ellos nos los mandan. Muchas personas que también quieren entrar a la organización.
Tú me dijiste que muchos de esos son
reclutados.
Recruited. It means something very different in this region. Many Caparros members are actually kidnapped. They're not volunteers. They're victims.
7 jóvenes desaparecidos en el Bajo Cauca antioqueño desde finales de febrero.
The case of the 8 teenage soccer players who recently disappeared in Bajo Cauca shocked millions of Colombians. But Sonia knows what happened to the players because she was the one who ordered their kidnapping.
Entonces tú los conociste.
Claro que sí.
¿Están vivos todavía?
Sí, sí, pues los mandamos para la tropa. Ellos dicen no, los matamos. Sí.
¿Cuántas personas reclutan ustedes así, de ese modo, forzado?
Las que hayan.
Despite everything she's told me, I'm still shocked to learn that many of Sonia's narco soldiers are innocent young men her gang kidnapped.
Eso me parece horrible, ¿no? Perdón, pero es verdad, ¿no? Porque imagínate un niño de 15, 16 años que desaparece la familia así, ¿no?
No se acostumbra como a lo que uno hace normalmente.
These horrors are all in the service of the product. Another kilo of coke is ready for transport. That's when Sonia's bodyguards tell her she too must go. With so many rivals, they can't allow their commander to remain in one place for long.
Okay.
She's the boss. She's the most valuable thing here. If she gets killed, then the guys that are in charge of her protection will probably get killed as well. Piensas también que porque hay muchos intereses, muchas personas interesadas, mucho dinero.
El trabajo más fácil como viene.
A part of me really wants these ambitious women to succeed. And why not? For far too long, it's been mostly men profiting from the multi-billion-dollar drug trade. Of course, despite his riches, even Pablo Escobar died in a hail of gunfire on a rooftop in Medellín.
¿Hay algún modo de hacer ese trabajo sin violencia?
No, igual eso es lo que prácticamente domina los humanos.
¿Tienes momentos en que te sientes un gran sentimiento de culpa por las personas que mataste?
Sí, bastante. Uno a veces tiene muchas pesadillas con personas que quizás le rogaban por su vida.
Cuando ven que tú eres mujer, ¿piensas que ellos tienen alguna esperanza?
Nada. Pues porque saben que soy.
Y entonces, si pudieras volver atrás, tal vez no entrarías, ¿o qué?
Si él no tuviera, no. Yo digo que antes estuviera mucho mejor.
¿Y tú todavía estás enamorada de él?
Claro que sí.
Just weeks after I left, the Colombian military killed the leader of Los Caparros and captured one of his chief lieutenants, Sonia's lover and the father of her children.
La mula se estacionó y pues no, a nosotros.
7 of the 8 kidnapped teenagers were freed.
Noticias de los otros 7
and the remaining members of Los Caparros are on the run, including Sonia, whose whereabouts are unknown. Today, the Colombian government has declared the gang thoroughly dismantled. Narcos come and go. That's part of the deal. Live fast, die young. But more and more, the black market often reflects trends in the legal one. It's like a dark mirror. So it's perhaps not surprising that women are pushing for equality in the most ruthless workplace of all. And they're either desperate enough or crazy enough to do the unthinkable in their pursuit of money and power. Progress can be a bitch. Your classic American barbecue. Perfect weather, meats on the grill, and a backyard full of friends. But this is not your typical summer get-together, because this is Dr. Tony Hughes' house.
Tony, we're ready for you, dude.
And performance-enhancing drugs are at the ready. Tony Hughes is the face of a movement that believes performance-enhancing drugs, like steroids, can turn everyday people,
Friends of Freedom, pioneers of human evolution,
into superhumans.
Instead of using medicine to make us average, we can use medicine to make us evolve.
Tony's fans say his drugs make you feel like a god.
I don't want to be average. Whatever I could do to keep excelling, I'll do it.
But are the authorities closing in?
You have no formal medical training whatsoever, correct?
And are the dreams he's selling
100% legal, no side effects.
actually nightmares?
Being superhuman on steroids is part of the game. But the reality is you can't be superhuman forever. And your heart doesn't want to be superhuman.
So they're playing with fire.
They're playing 100% with fire.
This is a story about the next generation of steroids and the man behind the needle.
Do you think everybody should be taking steroids?
Absolutely.
When I started investigating the underground explosion of steroids in America, there is one name I heard over and over again.
Dr. Tony Huge. Dr. Tony Huge here. Dr. Tony Huge here. Where in the world is Dr. Tony Huge? Update.
Dr. Tony Huge.
Hi.
Mariana.
Reporting for duty, Tony.
Yes, welcome. You now get to see the behind the scenes of how we actually build muscle besides the drugs, although there might be some of that involved as well.
Okay.
Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
Performance-enhancing drugs are notorious for causing scandals at the highest level of sports. But these days, people like Tony Huge are bringing experimental versions of those same drugs to the masses.
I'm going to show you what we do before our workouts as bodybuilders.
Just minutes after I arrive, Tony invites me and a handful of his guinea pigs, his words, not mine, into a locker room.
You know, they wouldn't do it openly. We'll get kicked out of the gym if there's people around. This is generic Chinese growth hormone. This is an underground testosterone. All right, Akash, I'm loading your needle. Do you want testosterone? Do you need test?
Half cc a test is fine.
This is actually an extremely potent prototype. A half cc would
let's do like maybe
would turn you into the Hulk. Yeah, okay, 1/4.
It looks like a big needle that I wouldn't want to stick on myself. Yeah, it's much bigger than I thought, and thicker too.
So now this is Molly's shot. In 1 month, she can make about 1.5 years worth of muscle building progress.
And why are you doing this?
I've always had insecurities, like with my body, with myself. So it slowly but surely does help you gain that confidence.
Yeah, I'm feeling the pressure right now, guys. I'm feeling really tiny and terrible here. I feel so out of shape right now.
Dr. Tony Huge is a larger-than-life figure in the world of DIY performance-enhancing drugs.
You're Dr. Tony Huge. Where did you get your medical degree from?
I don't have a medical degree. I'm a doctorate of jurisprudence.
Contact us at Hughes Financial Law today.
I'm a lawyer, retired lawyer.
Yo soy Anthony Hughes. Le puedo ayudar en español.
It's quite fortunate for the audience that I'm not an actual medical doctor, because if I was, they would take my license for teaching the things that I do.
Tony is evangelical about the power of anabolic drugs.
Well, I love steroids. I think before I came on the scene, steroids were even greater taboo. So I've sort of made steroids cool.
Steroids. I use them all the time in mega doses.
And I don't think it's a bad thing. Be swole and swole, friends of freedom, pioneered human evolution.
Dr. Tony Huge is a fitness influencer, a new type of social media star who posts workout photos and advice.
Now, you and I have talked about getting ready for shows, and this time, I'll see what I can do with some of these new compounds that you've come out with.
Tony spends hours every day talking to people like Zach, a 22-year-old bodybuilder prepping for a competition.
Okay, let's do it. Let's keep you healthy and get you in the best condition you've ever been in, my friend.
So when did you start taking steroids?
Steroids, I actually started taking about 2 years ago. I didn't know I was taking them. Someone told me they were vitamins.
Who, like a friend? Or?
It was an ex-boyfriend.
And then when you found out, were you angry or?
No, because I liked the results that I got from them.
Back at Tony's house, his friends are open about using steroids.
If you're someone who's deploying all the time or you're in a special operations career field, we don't get down days.
That includes a member of U.S. Special Forces.
We're hiking the tallest mountains, we're in the hottest deserts, pretty much perform like a superhuman. And when it's a life or death situation, it's a small price to pay to take performance-enhancing drugs to be able to get back home to my family.
Who contacts you about steroids?
Everyone. Teenagers, all the way up to old ladies, I kid you not, and everywhere in between. Police, 40-year-old female house moms that are using them to get in better shape.
Do you still take steroids now?
I do, in the sense of if I want to get ready for Halloween, I want to body paint. So for me to be able to body paint after 3 kids, instead of me doing a cabbage soup diet, I want to look strong and feel strong and not to up my metabolism.
Everyone has their poison, whether it's smoking or alcohol or hardcore opiates and, things like that. Pick your poison, and that's the one I chose.
Tony is happy to give away performance-enhancing drugs at his party. But how do everyday people normally get their hands on them?
Do you know where the steroids you take, do you know where they're coming from?
It depends.
No, you don't want to tell me.
Not at all.
So the anabolics that you take, where is it coming from?
Our source asked not to be named.
I wouldn't say.
And you don't want to say?
No.
See, I've spoken to several people here. Nobody wants to tell me where from. Why is that?
I don't know you, and it's a small community, and you're dealing with stuff that can potentially put other people in jail.
Okay, can you just tell me if they come from overseas or if they're domestic?
No comment.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I don't really take no for an answer. So after a few off-camera conversations with Tony, he agrees to show me where underground steroids come from.
Yeah, this is where he told us to meet him. Not where you'd think they'd be doing steroids and human experiments, You see this light over there? Huge, right here. So it's not here, is it here?
No, it's not here. I'm gonna take you to it, because the experiments that we do are kind of underground. You're not supposed to experiment on humans, and you're not supposed to be making some of these compounds the way we do, and that's a lot of risk to me and the people I work with.
Okay, let's roll camera. Yes, thank you.
When you mention an underground lab, I definitely wasn't expecting something so. It looks like a real lab.
Well, it has to be clean, and it has to have all the tools that we need for any given experiment.
The DEA and FDA are the federal agencies with oversight on steroid use. They often make news for busting underground labs.
DEA agents raided the facility.
A massive illegal drug operation. Homemade drugs are especially dangerous to anyone who uses them.
Aren't you scared they could come after you?
Yeah, everything. They did. They did.
Tony is the face of Enhanced Athlete, a supplement company that was raided by the FDA in 2017. That same year, Enhanced Athlete was accused in a civil lawsuit of selling products not approved for human consumption.
You said you got a doctorate of laws? You don't really think it allows you to call yourself a doctor, do you? Yes.
I was under investigation for many years, and they were surveilling me, and my CEO ended up in jail.
This is new tonight. A Sacramento man was sentenced to 3 years in prison today for selling fertilizer disguised as fat-burning pills.
And you guys were making that here?
That's what Scott was prosecuted for.
Why are you still here, and why is he in prison?
Because I never made money from any of this. I was a lawyer. I sold my law firm, and I took that money and I invested it into research.
Tony claims that for him, developing new drugs is merely a passion project, albeit a risky one.
So why do you let us film in here? Why do you let us come here?
Because there's a risk versus benefit. This is my passion. I retired from law to further the chemistry of bodybuilding. Instead of just using medicine to make us average, we can use medicine to continue to enhance us, to make us evolve.
And do you actually make all of this, or who makes this?
Coach Trevor's our lead chemist. Hey, Coach Trevor.
Coach Trevor is Tony's secret weapon.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
How are you? I'm Mariana.
Trevor.
Nice to meet you.
The two are incredibly close, with an almost brotherly bond.
This is your lab?
This is it. This is Ground Zero.
And they have a shared passion for creating new performance-enhancing drugs.
Coach Trevor and I have gone over the protocol. What I'm going to start with is 50 milligrams per day.
Tony was saying that you're the main chemist.
I think they call it chef.
Sort of Breaking Bad kind of thing.
No meth. No.
Trevor is obsessed with the chemistry behind steroids. He even has the chemical structure for testosterone tattooed on his hand.
This is my favorite hormone. First one I ever made.
The first one you made in a lab?
Mm-hmm.
Trevor says he's permanently mutated his body through years of experimental steroid use.
So Trevor's arms are just around 21 inches, mine are around 19 inches.
And mine are around half an inch.
Despite the imposing exterior, Trevor sees himself as a science nerd at heart.
If you wanted to, what drugs can you make right now?
Actually, it'd be easier to name what I couldn't make.
Could you make cocaine?
Yeah.
Could you make heroin?
Yeah. Very simple.
Do you know how to make fentanyl?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know how to make meth?
Yes.
If you can make any drug in the world, why are you making anabolics?
Because I could sell steroids to a lawyer. He's happy, it improves his life. If it's not hurting you, why not?
Is what you're doing dangerous?
Yeah. Yeah. Which is why I do it to myself first.
Sometimes really bad things do happen. And, and afterwards, we sometimes say we're never going to do another experiment.
In a recent experiment, Tony says he overdosed on a banned dietary supplement, and then he vomited for 2 days straight.
But we are addicted to the science and pioneering, and we do continue experimenting even after bad things happen.
The raw chemicals that you use here, where did those come from?
Almost everything comes from China now.
Because these chemicals are often on the DEA's list of banned substances, companies in China have found inventive ways to sneak them past customs.
Here's one.
Disguised as food.
It looks like flour, right?
So a lot of it is actually coming out. So it's not dangerous that it's all over my hands, is it? No.
Yeah, actually, no, it's not. Not one of those.
Today, Trevor and Tony are developing a new injectable version of a drug called ASARM.
A selective androgen receptor modulator, so potentially the future of steroids, all the benefits without the side effects.
And this is illegal.
This is illegal to sell to a human as a supplement. It is legal to possess, it is legal to use.
People are using the stuff that you guys are making here in this lab. Are using this?
Yes, they're using these formulas by facilities we are teaching how to make these things underground.
That is a very around answer. The stuff that is made here, does it end up inside people's bodies around the country?
That's what I don't want to answer.
Because that can get you in trouble.
Right.
I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth.
No matter what Tony might say, there's a black market for these types of drugs. And demand is high.
Is this some of the stuff you're delivering today?
Yes, yeah.
I mean, so it's basically, it's a drug deal.
It's a drug deal. Cheap stuff.
How long have you been selling steroids for?
So like 4 years now.
A few days later, I find myself on a ride-along with one of Sacramento's busiest steroid dealers.
Are most of your buyers bodybuilders?
Most of them just want to look superhuman.
I'll be calling him David.
Is part of the reason you sell it so that you can take them as well, so you can afford your own?
Yeah, afford myself. I take steroids. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So it's testosterone, trenbolone?
Trenbolone and Sustamen.
If David were caught, he could face 5 years in prison, the maximum punishment for selling steroids without a prescription.
What's up, brother? How you doing, man? Yeah. How's the kids? And the kids are doing great.
David has agreed to wear a wireless microphone so I can monitor this deal from a nearby car.
How's everything?
Oh, man, going good. New stuff is working killer.
Yeah.
Making good gains. And actually, dads at the school have been coming up to me asking, what are you doing? How are you working out? What are you taking and stuff? So,
hey, you know the secret.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Yeah, try with you.
Right on. Yeah.
They just did this right in the open. Even the money was exchanged out in the open.
Thanks.
You get that.
I'll talk to you later.
Yes, sir.
David also allows us to secretly film a deal he has arranged at a local gym. David tells me that a steroid regimen can cost users between a couple hundred and $1,000 a month.
All right, bro. I'll see you, man. All right, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes, sir.
So all of this is illegal, though. What you're doing, selling this is totally illegal.
You live in America, like everything's so expensive. I had to do what I do just to make extra money.
Do people buying steroids ever ask you about any side effects or any of the dangerous side of it?
All they ask is like, man, you're big.
What can I get to look like that?
Yeah, exactly like that.
The demand for performance-enhancing drugs stretches from coast to coast, and users are quick to sing their praises.
I just love it. It's like getting dressed in the morning. What am I gonna do today? I'm so interested in my body's physical ability to change, especially so rapidly. My body's my art. I'm not happy with my masterpiece yet.
Zach used to inject the types of traditional steroids I saw David selling in Sacramento. But then he met Tony Huge online.
We chit-chatted back and forth about what I was doing, and he sent me a care package, and he was like, of SARMs and supplements from his company, all of that stuff. It was like $700 when I checked it out. He seemed like this, hot celebrity kind of guy. I couldn't believe that, like, me, of all people, he just sent it out to.
The two have remained friends, and Zach has sought out Dr. Tony's help as he preps for the Olympia bodybuilding competition in Las Vegas. Armed with Tony's new experimental drug, Zach is on an extreme diet and working out 5 hours a day. But he still has a lot of fat to lose and muscle to add.
Hey, babe, could you grab that mirror?
And he's running out of time.
Tony just sent me some pretty awesome stuff. You know the SARMs I've been running? He sent me the injectable version, so I need you to put this in my shoulder.
Okay.
Okay.
Zach's girlfriend is generally supportive of him using anabolic drugs.
Hey.
Cheers. Fast. There you go. Push deep into the muscle. Ow. Ow.
Zach's mom, on the other hand, is decidedly not on board.
I mean, I know it's naive to think that most athletes, professional athletes, aren't doing drugs, but it's kind of a known thing in bodybuilding. And it's terrifying.
She was like, why compete in a sport that relies on drugs to win? And she has a point.
Do you think he'll do well in this competition?
I don't know if you can win without doing drugs, so I'm okay if he doesn't win.
I prefer that he doesn't do drugs.
I would prefer that.
There isn't a lot of research done on SARMs yet and what effects it can have. Is that where you...
That's true. But, I mean, it's just me taking a risk and putting a leg out there and seeing what happens.
Back then, I felt like a loser. I felt like a zero. Felt like a nobody. And I found this thing, the sport, that could give me respect immediately for nothing. Almost unearned. You would get big in the gym and people were afraid of me or respected me.
Like Zach, Jeff started bodybuilding and using steroids when he was in his 20s. But a decade later, he was diagnosed with heart failure.
The heart thing, that's what everyone's risking. And it's just when's your number gonna get called? Like, that's how bodybuilders die. I was weak, like weaker than I'd ever been. And there was something obviously wrong. But they use that word, heart failure. It's like, yeah, that hit me like a ton of bricks. I got a kid right now, I got a family, like, yo, this isn't cool.
Now that we have a baby, it was putting a lot of strain on us.
Many, many people I admired were doing steroids, and they weren't dropping dead. My heroes, Arnold Schwarzenegger, they're alive. They're still alive. They were big steroid users.
Ironically, doctors only discovered Jeff's heart problems when he was sent to the hospital for a different medical emergency, also caused by steroids.
Like, my butt was so big that, like, I had elastics, basketball shorts, and I couldn't pull them up. over my butt.
Because it was too big?
Yeah, it was like, I don't know if you can tell, like.
I can definitely tell. After injecting a batch of underground steroids, Jeff got an infection so malicious that doctors had to amputate parts of his butt and legs just to keep him alive.
The lady's like, holy shit, we gotta operate on you right now. You know, there was 7 surgeries to get the infection under control, and then there were 5 surgeries to clean it. So there's 11 surgeries in 24 days.
11 surgeries?
11.
It was only then that Jeff began to rethink his longtime steroid use. Tomorrow, Jeff will get the results from his cardiologist.
I'm hoping that, you know, I'm gonna get some good news.
Mm-hmm. What would be the worst case scenario?
Oh, it got worse. I mean, wouldn't that be scary?
I'm hopeful that it will be a positive move in the right direction, but, you know, in my gut, I don't think this is something that's just gonna go away overnight or in a few months.
Jeff is about to find out how a decade of steroid use will impact his long-term chance of survival.
I think some of the damage I did is probably permanent as far as like an enlarged heart. Yeah. I don't want to go back and bodybuild. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for, you know, how long can I live, right? I mean, if you look around this office, who's here? It's old men. It's like, why am I here? I'm freaking 37. Like, something's wrong, right?
Jeff has been under the care of a cardiologist for the past year, ever since doctors treating his steroid infection also discovered signs of heart failure.
So, doctor, because Jeff took testosterone for so many years, now his body doesn't produce it naturally, and he actually has to take testosterone to stay healthy.
This is the unfortunate irony for guys that are looking to become superhuman per se. You know, they end up in a point where, again, they obliterate their body's own ability to produce testosterone.
Today, Jeff will be getting the results to see if his heart has bounced back to normal.
So there's 2 main things that we're evaluating with that echo. One is your systolic function, which is the squeezing function. And that was the one that was mildly reduced last time you were here. That actually does not look significantly different. Okay, so it still looks a little bit sluggish. But there's another parameter that we look at, which is the relaxation function of the heart. Right. And that was also quite abnormal last time you were here. That looks significantly better. Okay. Okay. You know, we're not at the point where I'd say your heart looks normal, unfortunately. Right. I think you should sort of get your mind around the fact that you're probably going to be on long-term medication. I worry about Jeff's longevity. His heart actually hasn't bounced back to normal. And the longer we see it, that sort of suggests that something permanent has happened there.
And if he started taking steroids again?
Not a good outlook.
We've heard from a lot of people that say that there's a safe way of doing this. The people that have gotten hurt is because they didn't know what they were doing and they were taking too much, or but there is actually a safe way to do this. They say. What do you think?
I think those people are kidding themselves. The best data that we have are autopsy studies. That means someone died. Jeff, frankly, is lucky. And there's lots and lots of case reports of young guys having heart attacks and having strokes, sudden death. So your first symptom is dying.
What do I think of Tony Huge? A very dangerous guy because he's so seductive and his social media is so amazing. We have young men, boys, 13-year-old boys, 16, 18, 25, that are buying it hook, line, and sinker.
He wants to actually better the world.
In your average American suburb, I meet up with 2 of Dr. Tony Huge's biggest fans.
When did you guys start taking steroids?
4 weeks ago.
Yeah, week 4.
And how do you guys feel?
Honestly, it's superhuman.
The shocking thing? They're only teenagers, which is why we aren't showing their faces.
Just taking this, just the light dose that we are on, it's just crazy.
Do your parents know that you're taking steroids?
No.
So have they noticed a difference in you?
A little bit. They're kind of suspecting it now.
Aren't you guys afraid of all the dangers?
There's too many things like that in life. Worry about a steroid or a SARM giving you some small side effects.
Yeah.
I mean, an enlarged heart is not a small side effect.
Well, of course,
Heart failure at an early age is not a small side
it's
effect.
not a small side effect, of course, but if you do the right thing, especially learning from someone like Tony, where he literally lays everything out for you. He gives you the training advice. He gives you the nutrition advice. And he also tells you not to do it if you're not healthy. I know there's that 1% chance that I take this first cycle and I'm not gonna bounce back. For the rest of my life, I'm on testosterone replacement. I understand that risk, and I'm willing to take it.
Are you kidding me? It's 100% dangerous.
As Tony Huge arrives in Las Vegas for the start of the Olympia bodybuilding competition, I meet with Dr. Thomas O'Connor, a physician who specializes in steroid abuse.
He's destroying lives. He looks like he's a physician, and he calls himself a doctor. If they were medical professionals, they'd be in jail.
So Tony Huge right now is creating this injectable SARM. He says it's like a steroid, but without side effects, right?
Okay, he's wrong. It's not possible right now. Pharmaceutical companies like to do what? Make money.
So you're saying that if it was possible to create a steroid without the side effects, that the pharmaceutical company...
Billion-dollar industry.
Right. And the fact that they're not all over it right now, it's because...
It's beyond the science of today.
Recently, the FDA released a statement saying that SARMs can increase the risk of heart attack, stroke, and liver damage, the same side effects of steroids.
The patients tell me that, hey, doc, I used to love Tony Huge, man, because he represented just like freedom and all this kind of stuff.
You see me in my bedroom with a hot girl.
And then I really took some of the drugs he recommended, and I ended up in the hospital. Or my brother died. Or a friend of mine's really suffering. You see the bodies that are constructed. Being superhuman on steroids is part of the game, part of the trip. But the reality is you can't be superhuman forever. And your heart doesn't want to be superhuman.
When I first see Zach in Las Vegas, it's hard to argue with the results. His transformation is jaw-dropping.
That's him before and after?
It speaks for itself. It's just 9 weeks, yeah.
Holy moly, that is crazy. This is in just 9 weeks, just 3 months.
Correct.
In just 9 weeks, Zach dropped his body fat from 21% to 5%. He credits a dedicated workout and diet routine.
2 training sessions a day, 0 carbs, of course.
Yeah, I've been doing 3 hours of cardio every night.
He also credits the drugs that Dr. Tony recommended, including the new injectable SARMs. But the work is not over.
So the first thing I'm going to inject you with is Rad 140, the injectable SARM.
Zach has 24 hours before the competition. He and Tony plan to make the final hours count.
I'm going to give you a dose of 40 milligrams, which is, you know, that's pretty high for an injection.
That's it, yeah.
All right, I'm going to shoot it in your delt. This is going to burn. You're going to wake up tomorrow morning looking more vascular and harder and drier.
Just in time for prejudging.
Perfect, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I want. Oh, I see you twitching. That stings, huh?
Yeah, that one burn.
Oh, yeah, that stings. And it's bleeding, too, so I'm gonna hold pressure.
It's getting pretty sore.
Where do we want this last one? It's worth the pain.
Yeah.
Oh, the other thing I want you to take is Viagra.
Okay.
Not to get an erection. We're taking this to push the blood flow into our muscles.
Tony really believes in his dream of a steroid replacement with none of the risks.
We did some damage.
Yeah. Ready to lift?
Let's do it.
But the reality is, he just doesn't know what the long-term dangers will be.
Push them up and out in front of you a little bit for upper chest.
Like I told Tony, as long as he can guarantee I'm not gonna die right away from this stuff, then it's okay.
Why do you put so much confidence and trust in Tony?
Because not only is the man honest, he's a really good friend too. He's just an awesome uncle that knows everything and takes care of you when you need it and is always around.
All right, you're gonna have to breathe more because your blood is super oxygenated now.
When you hear all these stories about pros taking steroids and the side effects and you know all the dangers involved, does that scare you at all?
No. A lot of these guys overdo it and they screw themselves. I have enough knowledge to keep myself within a safe realm, and I know enough to trust my gut.
Tomorrow, Zach will pit himself against other aspiring bodybuilders. It'll be a test of both Zach's new physique and of Dr. Tony's new wonder drug.
Coming up next, we have competitor number 43, Ali Balaghi.
It's the first day of Mr. Olympia, and hundreds of bodybuilders are squaring off. Zach is about to go on stage for the amateur portion of the competition. If the judges like what they see, Zach can fulfill his goal of turning professional.
I don't consider myself natural at all. I may not be using steroids, but I am still like using things that are comparable and influence your hormonal balance.
He's betting that Tony Huge's new experimental drug will give him a competitive edge.
With the injectable SARMs, what I want is to look roided out without being on mainstream roids and being way healthier.
Today, Zach will take on 24 other amateur bodybuilders in the classic physique category. Only the top 3 will advance and be given their professional cards.
Oh, Zach! Yes, Zach!
I'm nervous, are you? Are you nervous?
Yeah, I usually get nervous like for the competitor, for the client. So I'm nervous for him because I don't want him to get discouraged if it doesn't go good. Beautiful.
51.
Tighten the lower abs.
Quarter turn to your right.
Wow. It's amazing poses.
When he first walks on stage, I'm once again blown away by Zach's transformation.
Let's hear some noise. Who do you guys want to see? 502.
Contestants are called to the front of the stage in groups of 5. Judges are looking for the perfect combination of muscle definition and size. Officially, steroids are banned at Mr. Olympia, but there are no drug tests today, so it's impossible to know if any of these bodies were sculpted with anabolic drugs.
481. 485.
To see how some of these guys have a lot more muscle than Zach has.
Yeah.
Now, if Zach can get this amount of muscle with his posing and it's with his structure, then he could go really far in the sport.
You can see the frustration on Zach's face as other competitors are asked to pose for the judges first.
390. 476.
Tony believes that the bigger participants have simply taken more drugs than Zach.
If he wants to grow after this competition, which I think he will, then it's time to start using some of the drugs that can build a lot more muscle like the rest of these guys have.
315.
Yet another group is called up instead of Zach.
502.
As the first session ends, his odds are not looking good.
Relax. Thank you, gentlemen.
But there's still another round of the competition, and anything can happen.
Zach, Amazing posing, incredible stamina, but how do you feel? Do you feel flat? Do you feel full?
I mean, I might have just got mass whooped.
Now, if you want to use this as an experiment to see how much we can fill you out with some more advanced chemistry before the finals, then that's what we could do right now.
Despite Zach's pessimism, Tony sees a golden opportunity.
Like what?
Like what is the question?
Like insulin, IGF, high carbs, throw in some sodium.
So that would be right now?
Let's do a 3-hour transformation.
Right now.
Let's get him some drugs and some food. So this is going to be a little dangerous because I want you to take a high dosage to really fill you out.
I've never used insulin. I'll grab some goodies to inject. Gotta trust the doctor.
The insulin is going to cause your blood sugar to drop. And then I'm going to inject you with AMP, adenosine monophosphate, to volumize your blood.
Tony is injecting Zach with hundreds of dollars of free drugs.
And that also can make you very dizzy.
But what's the real cost for Zach?
I don't want you to pass out on stage, but we're going to get you right to the edge of where you're going to be a little bit dizzy. Okay, I'm going to put the insulin in last. So first I'm putting IGF DES, 200 micrograms. What the heck, 250 micrograms.
250?
Yeah. Yeah, nothing's gonna happen to you. But right before I shoot that, I just want some pictures and video of you because it's gonna work pretty quick. So I've got my videographer here. What do you think? You got a good angle? Of all the SARMs, this is one of the faster acting ones.
Are you doing any of these for the first time?
Yeah, all of them.
300 micrograms of IGF-DES, 5 units of growth hormone, and 15 units of insulin. It's a lot to combine.
Zach is understandably nervous about taking insulin in particular.
You doing this whole shot in my
On your glute, yeah.
In your glute?
And Vivian, how long till the rice is ready?
Insulin can be bought over the counter at any drugstore, but injecting too much of it can lead to seizures, coma, brain damage, or death.
As soon as we hit this, I want you to start eating some carbs. Don't like shove it down, but just start snacking on it, get your blood sugar steady. And after the shot, I'm gonna put pressure on it so it disperses through bloodstream faster.
Zach is also injecting AMP, a steroid created for racehorses and not allowed for human consumption.
It's gonna hyper-oxygenate your blood, and so you're gonna be gasping for air to get more oxygen into your bloodstream. It's actually very therapeutic. It's actually very, very healthy. Does it sting?
Oh.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm completely rooting for Zach to win this competition. But I don't want to see him die in the process.
Of all the SARMs, this is one of the faster acting ones.
On a short break from the Mr. Olympia competition, Tony is about to inject Zach with a long list of anabolic drugs.
So this time you're taking a 30% higher dosage than we took at the gym for practice.
Okay.
Tony's hoping to transform Zach's body in just 3 hours.
Okay, so it stings a lot, so we're gonna definitely have to put pressure because the body's gonna react to that. But if I put pressure, it distributes into your bloodstream quickly, you'll be fine.
It's a last-ditch effort to impress the Olympia judges for the final round of the event.
What's this gonna do for my physique?
Make your veins pop out, make your muscles fuller.
This is all against the rules of the Olympia competition, and it's the kind of thing that can get you in trouble with the DEA.
How much of all the stuff you've given him, how much of it is illegal?
Let's see. So the AMP is not technically illegal. It's a gray area. This is something you wouldn't be allowed to sell to another human for human consumption, like a drug. It's not FDA approved.
Are you allowed to administer them to somebody else?
Probably not.
Could he get in trouble for this?
No. Nope.
Are you worried, Zach?
Don't let Tony worry. And if the popo come knocking, we're going together.
You've got the number of your lawyer,
Okay.
Dr. Tony Huge.
All right.
After injecting half a dozen new anabolics into his bloodstream, Zach arrives back at the competition. He's due on stage in less than an hour.
Okay, that's pretty good. So now we can see some veins popping out. He looks like he put on about 8 pounds of muscle in just a few hours.
It's true, though. You can totally see the difference now. I don't think I could notice any of these veins before, and now I can notice them all.
Zach's veins are popping, and his muscles are noticeably bigger. He's also feeling short of breath, a side effect of AMP, the horse steroid. He's worried that this won't be enough to impress the judges. I'm worried he's going to pass out on stage.
Competitor number 100, Daniel Chimera. Competitor number 158, Luis Estrada.
As other competitors are eliminated, Zach remains on stage.
61, Anmar Azuldin.
Still up there.
Yeah.
Competitor number 204, Denny Huevos.
Good,
They didn't tell his number.
Competitor number 312, Puradich.
But finally, Zach's name is called, and his
Competitor
day
number 315.
is done. He finishes tied for 16th place. Not the results he's looking for.
Are you sad at all? Are you disappointed?
I'm actually extremely disappointed. I just didn't have the conditioning I needed, so they deserved it more than I did today.
At the end of the day, Tony and Zach are both clear on one thing. Competing at this level will mean taking even more drugs. And even bigger doses.
I definitely felt good with Tony's little cocktail. Yeah, that definitely worked. That whole thing.
Bodybuilding is a sport, and it's also art. And the drugs and the steroids give us a bigger paintbrush and more colors to choose from.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Would you call it an epidemic?
This is an epidemic where you look great. But your day will come.
It's estimated that up to 4 million Americans are now using steroids.
Hi, Tony.
Hi, Mariana.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
So you spent the last couple of months in Thailand, is that right?
Yeah. I'm building an epicenter of chemical transformations to push the limits on performance enhancement.
When I last check in with Tony Huge, he's still promoting enhanced athlete products, but he's got a new place to conduct human experiments.
Are you and Trevor planning on moving your whole operation to Asia?
Yeah, we're transitioning right now, so yeah, as fast as we can.
In Thailand, they have clinics on every corner.
We don't have to go through doctors and get prescriptions for lab work.
Look, SHBG, cortisol, DHT, prolactin, estrogen, growth hormone.
We can just move much faster in Thailand than in the US with our research.
In 2019, a bill was introduced to the US Senate that would allow the DEA to arrest anyone making SARMs.
Are you ever afraid that the authorities will come after you?
Yeah, sure, there's always a little bit of that fear, yeah. It's not so much that I'm running away from authorities and law enforcement as it is I'm just less of a target if I'm outside the country.
Do you think there's anything wrong with wanting to be superhuman?
No, I think that that is the next step of our evolution. How strong can we become? How amazing can we look? How long can we live? If people could just visualize when they felt the best in their life. Imagine having that all the time, and then imagine amplifying it. That's That's what it feels like to be superhuman. And once people experience, it's hard to go back.
This is what makes Tony Spitch so seductive. He believes with missionary-like zeal in what he preaches.
All right, here we go.
That sort of faith can be dangerous, even deadly. But it's hard to argue with those convinced they're on a path to salvation.